All right, boom. Welcome to the first episode of the Dose podcast. This is a podcast with both myself and my mentor. And in this podcast, what we'll be doing is kicking some game, giving you some real advice that you can actually apply to your life, not some goofy stuff, not some square stuff to where some random nonsense. This is some real game from both myself and I said my mentor as well. So my name's T. I'm the owner of Yak. A lot of you, I mean, you'll all be coming from Yak, you know what I'm about, the game that I'm on. And as you've seen on my account, I constantly talk to my mentor, or I constantly give homage to my mentor because he's the one who really took my game to that next level. He's the one who took me under his wing and was like the game that I've been getting, it's crazy. So Tony, like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, yeah, from coast to coast. My name is Mac the motherfucking most. You guys can call me Tony. And just as a disclaimer, everything I'm saying here about anything in my past life is all for entertainment purposes only, in case there's any cops listening.
Over entertainment purposes, none of this is real. It's all fictional. You dig? All
All
right, so
fictional. None of this is true. This is all
nothing.
for entertainment purposes only.
Right. So as I said at the start, people know you as my mentor. People know you as an ex-pimp, a person who was actually in the game. So the first question we have is, how did you become a pimp and how did you develop your game to become a pimp?
Well, it was never really anything like to me growing up that I wanted to do, when I was 15, 16, 17, I was on the streets and like a lot of people who ended up being in the game, pimping and whatnot, we all started doing something first. Some of us might have sold a little bit of drugs. Some of us might have, been stick up boys out there robbing people. Some people, there's all different kinds of little hustles you can do on the streets. I was actually out here, moving some weights, slanging and shit. And I had a girl who had brought me into the game. She was the one who kind of put me on into that lifestyle. And once I had turned about, once I had turned, I want to say I probably had just turned 18. Probably had just turned 18, and then the girl just pulled me aside one day, and she was like, and I knew she had been in the streets before. I knew she had that, passed out through her life, the stripping and a little bit of hoeing and all that stuff, but I never really understood the deep extent that she had lived that life. So she just pulled me aside one day and she was like, I want to go back to what I know. I want to go back to hoeing. And truth be told, me being a big old square at the time, I didn't want that. You know what I mean? I didn't want to have a hoe, and she was gonna pay me and everything, but I really didn't want that. I just wanted to have a girlfriend. I love the bitch, but I loved her enough to follow through with that. And I said, yeah, at the point, I knew it was going to be a lot of money and stuff, but deep down, that's not really what I wanted for myself. Nonetheless, I went out and we went to LA, and I want to say 2 weeks, 3 weeks in, I already had, two more broads, and they were all paying. And then she linked me back up with some of the old pimps that she had dealt with in her past, older guys, way older than her. And they kind of liked where I was coming from. They saw that I had heart and I was trying to learn the shit, and it kind of came naturally to me. A lot of people say that this is something that you're just born with, and I agree. There is an aspect of just kind of being born with a little bit of game, or just kind of being born with a supernatural level of confidence. But at the same time, I gotta disagree with it in a sense too, because I can take damn near anybody, and if they just do what I say, if they do as I tell them to do, and they just follow through with the information, I could damn near turn anybody into being able to be a pimp. It's not a pimp, a hell of a pimp. If not a pimp, a hell of a ladies man. It's really just some basic principles that separate you from everybody else. But that's actually how I got into the game. I had a girl damn near push me and force me into being it, and once I really got my feet wet, something just came over me, and the shit just took over and became second nature.
Cool, cool. And then the second part of the question was, how did you develop your game to become a pimp? Like what kind of things did, whether it's the people who your girl introduced you to, or just general kind of knowledge that you attained?
Well, truth be told, my grandpa, my dad's dad, he was one too. So I kind of understood, some principles of it as far as, you know what I mean. There's certain things that you got to put before other things, one of them being You know, sex hormone is really the last thing on your mind at that point. You change some of your priorities around, you know. So I kind of had an understanding of how it worked, but at the same time, it was really just being exposed to the game itself, you know, like having a hoe even before I kind of got laced up by them older dudes. Having a hoe just kind of it just kind of puts you in a different mindset anyways, you know. All this shit really is just confidence, and there's levels to the game that will put you into different positions. There's mindsets that follow strategies, you know, or I should say the strategy follows the mindset. But really it was just doing it, you know, it was just going out there and actually living the life. And everything else kind of just made sense later, you know. At first, you know, you go out there, you have a hole, you fall into some kind of problem, and then you got to salute that problem. You know, you got to figure out, how am I going to get through this situation? And then afterwards, with the reflection, you say, okay, well, now I know that, you know, other hoes look up to other hoes. You got to make sure you know who your leader hoe is, you know, who the other bitches look up to, so you know how to keep her in check. You know what I mean? You just learn things as you go. You know, there's really nothing somebody could tell you that will be worth more than you just going out there and learning. You know, mentors, like I did have mentors. I had good mentors, but mentors are there for when you already have problems. Mentors are there for people that are already doing it. You know, a mentor can't really do much for you if you're not really doing anything. You know, you could have a conversation with the richest man in the world right now. He's not really going to help you that much if you ain't doing nothing, you know, versus if you already have a business and you're already doing things, and then you meet the richest man in the world, you're going to have a lot better questions to ask him. He's going to be able to help you a lot more versus you just sitting on your ass. You just want to ask him a question. How did you get rich? You know, how did you become a pimp? How did you become a pimp is a lot different of a question asking me versus saying, hey, how can I have three bitches and they all get along? You know, those are the kind of questions that we ask our mentors. So
Mm.
really my game just got sharp from living that life and fulfilling it and having the experience going out and doing the shit and figuring out what works and what don't work. Because there's a lot of things you might think that would work that don't, and there's a lot of things you would think would never work and they do. You know, it's just kind of shit you learn as you go. That's why experience is so important.
Absolutely, and it's people don't really understand how important having that experience is, because you can have the best mentor in the world, you can have the best coach in the world, you can have the best resource or course in the world, but if you don't go out and apply the things that are being told to you, then it's a waste of your time, your energy, and your money. Experience is everything. Experience is how you learn to understand nuance. You can't buy nuance, no matter how rich you are, no matter how wise you are, no matter who came before you or after you. Nuance is one of them things that can't be. You can only experience it firsthand. For example, one guy can go up to a chick in one way, can go chicken another way. And one of them, it might seem like they don't know anything that they're talking about, just rambling on, but they managed to get the chick. The other guy, he can seem like he's confident. He can seem like he saying all the perfect lines. He's doing pickup lines and all that goofy stuff, but he doesn't. Why? Because one of them understands the nuance in the sense of, in the game, it don't matter what you say, it's how you say it. So he understands that it's all more about the energy and the way you conduct yourself, whereas the other guy's more focused on, okay, if I say this perfect line to her, then she's gonna love me, then she's gonna be obsessed with me. Like, that's not how this kind of thing works. And the only way you can really go through that is through firsthand going through that experience. And a lot of you boys would have probably had my book, Female Nature, one on one. People asking me, how did I come up with 101 rules or laws to put in that book? And I originally had, in the initial version, I had around 70 or 80. And then as Tony came into my life and put me on game, that's when I started adding more stuff as he began to teach me things. And then I go out and experience it myself. But them initial 70 to 80, I learned them literally through my own experience. So literally from the range of age of like 15 to when I was messing around and being goofy and doing a whole bunch of nonsense, to I'm in my 20s now. It's like I just used to take notes on my phone. This is something I always talk about on my account to all of you. Take notes on absolutely everything, whether it's the movies that you're watching, the podcast that you're listening to, the book that you're reading. Take notes, because that's something that you can refer to, and then you can double down on, and then take the notes and into applying them and actually experiencing them yourself. So in terms of this female nature stuff, literally, I would go into the game. I'd go and try something, fail. Okay, I won't get my feelings. I'll charge it to the game, keep it pushing. I'll write down what went wrong, and then I'll try something else the next time. That's how I kind of developed my game at the start, and that's how I even begin to understand human nature. I literally just went to go try stuff. I used to fail, fail, fail. For years, I went through failing. It's to the point now where my game is decent, my game is tight. Obviously, there's levels to the game, there's levels to anything in life in terms of the difference between a professional footballer and a footballer who's in like the fifth division or whatever. And then even within that subdivision, there's a difference between a Ronaldo Messi level player and someone who's like a bench player like Newcastle United or something. And every aspect of life has levels, and that's when having that mentor, having that someone who's there to be by your side, they can teach you the kind of things which you couldn't experience because obviously we only have so much time in this world. So they're teaching you X, Y, Z, and then you go out and applying that. So they essentially save you the kind of years of failure and make your life easier. And that's something which Tony has really done for me.
You know what? I want to add something to what you said too. I kind of want to take what you said about experience becoming nuance and then having a mentor, like you had just said, and then how a masterful player, in like say football or something like that, and a bench player, how all those things coincide with having a mentor because your game actually changes, as you develop. And there's just things that are going to work for you when you're first getting started, in anything really. But, I'm relating this to, my experiences, but there's things that are a certain way when you first get started. And then as you become, more masterful and as you reach a different level, then you start to see how things are different for you now. The things that might have been important at this stage aren't really important to you at this stage, and things start to change. And having a mentor is going to help you with that too, because it's like the perfect example of when you first start to talk to girls and you don't really know nothing. What do? You try to let this girl know that you like her. You make it real abundantly clear that you like her. And then as you get better, you start to say, I'm not in such a rush to let this bitch know that I like her. I'm gonna let her wonder. And then you get to the point to like where I'm at, where I'm like, well, I don't care if this bitch likes me or don't. I'm gonna look for the one that does. You reach different levels, and then your mentor is kind of there to kind of guide you because a lot of guys they try to jump to something that they're not ready for yet. They
Mm,
try to do something they're just not ready to do yet. And sometimes it's good to have a mentor to kind of see where you need to shape up so he can tell you like this really ain't where you're at yet. You need to focus on this more. And then they can give you the advice relevant to where you're really at. Like I got a look on my face when I go out, like this bitch better not try to come talk to me right now. And I do that because for where my game's at, when you push off that whole this bitch better not come try to talk to me right now, the bitch that still comes and talks to you through that, you're keeping that bitch for a long fucking time. You're keeping that bitch. If she comes and reaches you through the whole rough exterior of, you know what I mean, this bitch better not come and talk to me, well then you for sure got that bitch. That's where I'm
mm,
at. I'm not at the whole trying to catch every bitch I can part of my game anymore. I'm at the whole keep a bitch for a long fucking time game.
that's the
And
one.
that's where I'm at. It's not to say that the dude who's trying to catch a lot of bitches is wrong, but as you develop in your game and you start to see who you are, because you don't really know who you are until you've gotten good at something. All these guys right now, a lot of them they don't even really know who you are. You know what I mean? They don't really know who they are inside because they haven't really ever pushed themselves to see who they are. There's a lot of things these guys think they want that they don't realize they don't really want, until they get that shit, until they get close enough to see damn, I could have this, but I don't really want it like I thought I did. They got to get to know themselves. But my point being, your game changes and who you are changes as you go and you start to kind of realign with things. And that's something that you got to recognize within yourself. But then at the same time, your mentor is going to be able to, kind of adapt you to that and say, hey, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. You're probably not ready for that Rolex yet. You probably want to get your car going first. You might want to get that car fixed before you start trying to buy all this gold. You know what I mean? I know you want to grill. I know that shit's tight. But, let's get your teeth fixed first. You know what I mean? You got a mentor that's just been through it all, and then some, you know. guys that are lucky enough to have a mentor that actually has the experience, they're going to watch you develop and they're going to be able to give you the custom tailored information. Like you, for example, you're so far ahead, most likely from a lot of these guys, you're going to kind of get to tell where these guys are at. A lot of these guys want, master level information when really they just need to kind of fix up on the basics, and that's why you're
Yeah.
here to show them where they're at and what they need to know.
Yeah, yeah, for real. And one thing you said is when you said how a mentor can say you're not ready yet for that. And that's one thing that a lot of people just don't have in general in their life. They don't have that person to where they can be completely honest with them. Because a lot of people nowadays are all yes men. They all say yes, 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 yes. They don't have kind of anyone to kind of keep them in check, give them that reality. Like, okay, you might need to calm down, bro. If you're doing something goofy, okay, you're being goofy, you need to check yourself, kind of thing. And it's that tough love. It's like a lost art almost. It's like people they hate being told like the truth. I don't know what's happened like in like just recent times. It's like if you tell someone the truth, it's like they just feel so like personally attacked that okay, why are you telling me this? You're like hurting my ego almost. That's the thing, especially with a lot of men, is a pride thing. It's like if you tell me oh, you're doing that wrong. Okay, you're attacking my character. You're saying X, Y, Z. You're not respecting me. That kind of thing. It's like nah. It's like obviously it depends on the source of the person who's telling you the information. Obviously, if it's a sucker who's telling you you did something wrong, then you just know okay, he's a goofy goober. But if it's someone who actually has that experience, who actually has that game to where they've been in your experience or been in your shoes, you just gotta listen to them. And I tell people this on my account all the time. If there's someone who you know who is in a better position than you and you kind of want to be like them or even a sense of you just know they have some game, if you listen to them, just shut up. Don't say anything. You don't have to necessarily agree with absolutely everything they say, but take on board what they say. I mean, from the stuff that they say, extrapolate the lessons from that, and then again, go apply that to your life and then get that experience so then you can develop your own nuance because there's a million ways to play the game. So in the game of chess, you can play aggressive, you can play defensive, you can play a bunch of different ways, but you have to develop your own way. You can't copy someone else. You can't do what the next person is doing. But that's not to say that you can't like kind of emulate your game because at the end of the day, you don't want to reinvent the wheel. You still want to there's still principles to this stuff. There's still general kind of rules to which you have to stick by. But you have to understand those rules. And once you understand those, then you can double down on developing your own source, developing your own game. And then from there, the rest will be history.
Yeah, man, you're absolutely right. And another thing that kind of just comes with it is, like you said, kind of building up your own sauce. You basically just get to a point in anything, what I mean, whether it be this game, whether it be playing a sport, you just kind of excel, and you just excel in your own way because everyone's going to have their own way of doing things, but you're going to excel in your own way to the point to where you just have special skills that other people don't have. You see it a lot in sports. You know what I mean? You might have these boxers or these, MMA fighters. And yeah, like they're all star athletes, and you can't really take away from any of them. But some of these guys are just, you just can't see them. You just can't see them on the ground game. You just can't see them on wrestling. Like they're going to take you out. And then are you going to say like that this dude's the absolute best of all time? No, because there's another guy right here who you can't see him standing up. His hands are too quick for you. You just can't do it. So like you got this guy right here who might be nice on the ground, and you got this other guy right here who might be nice with his hands. You'll start to see who you are once you get better at this game. Like once you get better at approaching women, once you get better at having bitches, once you get better at managing having your bitches and then having your business, you know what I mean? You might be the guy, you might end up, you don't get to pick what your skills are. You don't get to pick what your natural talents are, but a lot of guys don't even know what they are. You might not be the guy who can go out and have three or four girls and they all know about each other and they all like each other. But you might be the guy that can get one bitch to fall in love like crazy where she'll never leave you. You know what I mean? You might be the guy who can, you might not be that great at keeping them forever, but you could walk up to a girl right now and know for a fact she's gonna like you. There's different kinds of skills. There's just different kinds of natural abilities that guys have. And it really just comes down to, having a mentor, but then going out there and getting your feet wet too. And these guys are going to start to develop and they're going to start to see like what their natural talents are. Because there's just some things God gave all of us. Some of us just got special talents. And, some of us ain't going to have each other's talents. And don't get stuck on, oh, why can he just walk up to a bitch and just pull her right now? Why do I have a little bit more trouble catching a bitch? Well, you might be more serious. You might be able to keep one for a longer time. You know what I mean? So you just really got to focus on your strengths and stick with that. And that's another thing a mentor can do too, is kind of see where you're weak and see where you're strong and kind of just teach you where to focus with, your strengths.
For real. And then even in that strength thing, it's a case of you have to double down on what you're good at, and you have to be so good at that that it like overshadows your weaknesses so much that like your weaknesses are like negligible essentially. Like you're so cold at what you're good at that your weaknesses don't even matter. And I spoke on something similar to this a few days ago. I tweeted it. I said, you were born with at least one thing that you have an unfair advantage in, whether it's your intellect, adaptability, athletic ability, or creativeness, etc. This is your golden ticket. Use, abuse, and leverage it. It will take you far. And that's literally sums up everything that we have said so far. You have been born with something to where by you're innately better than the majority of people at. It might be you might be your height. And let's say you're 5'3" and you want to be an NBA player. You can have the best handles, you can be the best 3-point shooter, but at the end of the day, you're not going to be an NBA player. No matter how hard you try, no matter how good you are, you're not. And that's just the way the game goes. Is life fair? No. Is the game fair? No. But that just is what it is. So maybe as opposed to using your handles in basketball, you might go and do a different kind of sport to where it's more tailored towards someone who isn't or doesn't need to be like 6'5". Like you have to find what you're innately good at and then double down on that and then use that to create your purpose, essentially. Use that to find how you can be of service to this world, how you can not only help yourself, but help your family and help other people as well. Because at the end of the day, this game's all about elevation. We have to elevate people. This is one thing that Tony really taught me. I never forget. I went to him asking about one of my old girls. This is a girl I've actually got on retainer. I've been knowing her for like damn like 6 or 7 years now. And even to this day, I could hit her up and get her back whenever. But I asked him, why do I not care that whenever she leaves, I'm not bothered at all. And he said it's because you've not elevated her to that level to where she feels like she needs you. And that's the kind of things where I talk about that tough love. It's like, damn. Like that's kind of thing like, damn, I really haven't. I've just been chilling with her. I haven't been actually making her a better woman. And that's the kind of thing which I've been telling all you boys on Yak as well. Like if you actually want to get a chick on retainer, I got this one girl on retainer because she messaged me and I've just known her for a minute and we had a bunch of memories and stuff. But that's besides the point. If you can help elevate this woman to a different level and actually make her a better woman, she will literally become attached to you because you're like a drug to her. You're like something which no other man has. Other men are trying to get something from her, whether it's a coochie, I mean, it's mainly the coochie because most guys are squares. So they're trying to get something out of her, but you're trying to improve her. You're trying to elevate. You're trying to take her to that next level. So she feels and she knows that, damn, he's different. He is trying to make me better. He's trying to get me to a different level. Therefore, as a prerequisite, she has to mess with you. She has to almost become obsessed with you because she's like, okay, well, if he's going to take me to that next level, I have to get on the roller coaster. I have to get on the ride to get there because I'm not going to be able to do it by myself because at the end of the day, a woman needs a man. It says in the Bible that Eve or Adam needed a helper, and that's when God took the rib out of Adam and produced Eve. So women are there to literally help you to reach your goals. So that's something which you need to take into consideration in terms of picking the woman, but also in terms of elevating her. You have to make sure that she's actually becoming better in some way, shape, or form.
Well, yeah, man, I agree. And going back to something you said in the beginning of that, like the whole working on your gift, working on your skill, the God given gift, the natural ability and all that stuff, it relates directly to having a bitch because a, a woman, it don't matter big or small, rich or whatever, a woman would rather be a small part of a big man's life than the big part of a small man's life. That's why you get, take JFK for example. This motherfucker was fucking Marilyn Monroe publicly, and he was married the whole time. And his wife didn't leave him. His wife didn't say, "Oh, you want to fuck the most famous bitch in the world?" You know what I mean? I just got to sit here and look stupid. She didn't fucking leave him. Why? Because this wasn't her husband cheating on her. This was JFK cheating on her. You know, a bitch sees a man as bigger than her. She's willing to accept more from it. It's just that simple. If you're bigger than her because you have so much to show for it, you got skills, you become big, she has to accept that from you because you're bigger than her. If you got her thinking she's as big as you, and she will think she's as big as you if it's not very clear and defined that you are bigger than her, better than her, she will think she's better than you. If a bitch makes 50,000 a year and she's a seven, and you make 50,000 a year and you're a seven, she's got 300 DMs every day and you don't. She definitely thinks she's worth more than you. It's just that simple. So a bitch dealing with the lying, cheating motherfucker who's rich and famous versus a bitch dealing with the lying, cheating motherfucker that's, you know what I mean, broke, who she don't even respect. It's going to be a whole different dynamic. And then on top of that, going back further into what you said about elevating a bitch, you know what I mean, which is one of my biggest things. I got a motto I live by. She's got to look way better leaving than she did coming. And that
Mm.
kind of gives you some strength too, because you might have this girl who she didn't necessarily fit your bills. But when I look at a bitch, I don't look at who she is right now. I look at who she's going to be in 3 months of fucking with me. She's a little bit overweight. Okay, well, she's not going to be with me. Her hair's all fucked up, stupid colors, blue hair and all that. It ain't going to be with me. Her skin's a little dirty. It ain't going to be with me. She's broke right now. It ain't going to be with me. You know what I mean? I'm going to straighten her ass out. And a lot of these guys who want this build a bitch already perfectly built when they get her, what does that say about you? That says you don't have the confidence to make a bitch who you need her to be. What does that say about you? Oh, she ain't going to listen? If you ain't even met this bitch yet and you already know she ain't gonna listen to you, what does that say about you? You know what I mean? If you already got it in your head, like you're not gonna be able to tell this bitch what to do, where does that put you in your head? What about me? I haven't met the bitch yet and I already know she's gonna straighten up on that weight. She's gonna straighten up on that hair. She's gonna straighten up with that attitude. I ain't even met the bitch yet and I already know she's gonna act right. You ain't met the bitch yet and you think she's gonna act up. And we're both right. You know, my bitch is gonna listen and yours ain't. You know what I mean? That's purely on mentality. That's metaphysical manifestation if I've ever heard of it. You know what I mean? I already know what the bitch is gonna do. I ain't even seen the bitch yet. It's that simple. And you guys all have the same ability. You guys all have the same magic. It's just the difference is you think, oh, if I go talk to a bitch, she's gonna clown on me. Oh, if I tell this bitch this, she's not gonna listen. Well, that's exactly what's gonna happen. You're absolutely right. I believe the bitch is gonna listen and she is gonna like me, and that's exactly what happens. So yeah, you gotta be big. You gotta be big and you gotta have that mentality, like you're coming in to make this bitch better. And what does that mean? When you make your woman better, is there really anything more righteous you can do than improve another human being, than improve your bitch? Anybody can tell a bitch she's pretty. Anybody can buy her some flowers. But what happens when she comes and tries to start an argument with her and you're like, hey, bitch, you remember when you used to live in the fucking ghetto and you used to drive that shitty ass car and used to make $400 a week and your fucking bleached hair was falling apart? You remember that? Where you at now? There ain't no argument like that. She ain't got shit to say. That's really putting things into perspective. Guys think girls aren't logical. There's a thing that goes around about girls thinking their emotions. They don't think in logic. Girls can think in logic. Now, their first instinct is to go to emotion. That's true. But when you put it into logic, they stay at logic. If you think a bitch can't see that you made her life better, and that's not going to put her ass to shut the fuck up and continue to follow you, you're absolutely wrong. Bitches are very logical.
And you touched on some two very important things there. Firstly, how the girl who you're with, she'll essentially be like you in the sense of women are mirrors. They don't know how to treat a man unless, or they look at how to treat a man based on how he treats himself. So if you treat yourself like an actual respectable man, if like you treat yourself like you're bigger than life, then as a result, she's going to have to treat you the same. She can't treat you any worse because then you'll just cut her off. I mean, if you're adding that value to her life or you're elevating her to that next level, she understands that she has to treat you in the way that you treat yourself so that she can stay with you till she can get to that next level. So it's all based on you. A lot of these guys they just want to blame women, women are trash, women are X, Y, Z. And have women changed in the last 50 years? Maybe. Maybe they haven't. But regardless, that doesn't change the fact that you are the man that you are and you attract the woman that based on who you are. So if you're a bum, if you don't have nothing going for you, if you're broke, if you're fat, if you don't go gym, why would a woman want you? Please think about this. Why? What value could you add to her life? What are you going to do that's going to help her get to that next level? Okay, let's say every single woman in the world is trash. Okay, but then how come there's still some who are getting these women who are helping make their life better, who are adding value to their life, who are giving them massages, giving them the cooking that food for them, cleaning up for them? Why is it that some people can and you can't? Like, don't be blaming women for nothing. It's always the man's fault. Everything trickles down from the man. That's something that Tony taught me. One of the first things that he taught me. Everything trickles down from the man. And do you remember the analogy that you gave me with Adam and Eve and the whole Dominion thing?
Yeah, absolutely. You want me to break that shit down right
Yeah,
now?
break that down for these guys.
That's some cold game. All right, so look, you got Adam and Eve, and Eve, was tempted. She went and she ate the fruit, whatever it was, the forbidden fruit. It might have been a concept, it might have been sex. We don't really know what it was, but God said, "Don't do this," and then she did it. So Eve went forth and she ate the fruit. Then she came to Adam, and she said, "Adam, try this fruit." He did. Then God came down to the garden and he called forth to Adam. He didn't call Eve because Adam had the headship. Adam had the dominion. He called forth Adam and he said, "Adam, what is this that you have done?" And what did Adam say? "It's the woman you gave me. She gave me the fruit to eat." And when Adam did that, he lost headship. He lost his dominion over the earth.
Mm,
Everything is your fault. God didn't say, "Adam, because you ate the fruit, you have lost your dominion." It was when Adam said, "It was the woman you gave me," that God said, "You lost dominion." Adam had headship over the entire earth of everything. He gave up that headship when he tried to blame someone else. In the world, what you have under you is your responsibility. And that's why it's so important to keep your woman's behavior in check. Adam was the first man to lose headship. Adam gave up his headship. He didn't understand what it was to be a leader. And I think it's really important that that's the first lesson in the Bible. That's the first story we hear about, is about a man that didn't have his woman in check. That's the first story in the Bible. A man who didn't have his woman in check and didn't own up to it. You guys want to
cold.
sit here, you want to hate women, all these women today ain't shit. Women are submissive. Why is my bitch submissive? Women don't listen. Why is my bitch listen? These women don't care about families anymore. Why does my bitch want a family? You know, these women don't want to help their man no more. Why does my bitch help me? You know, and I know plenty of other dudes who got these kind of hoes. And it's true, these same girls might not be that same woman for somebody else. That's true. You got to know how to get it out of them. And I want to go back to something you said a minute ago, and I want to kind of just improve upon it. You said that a woman is going to treat a man according to how he treats himself. That's true. That's not wrong. But with the exception of, a woman is also going to treat you according to how much shit you're willing to put up with from her. So you can be rich, you can be well put together, you can be, respected in the community. A bitch is still gonna, she's still gonna test your nuts sometimes. She's still gonna try to see what she can get away with. It's just that simple. And if you have this conversation with the girl, she will agree to this. She will straight up admit it. A girl just has to kind of see what you're made of. And here's the thing. You can espouse all of that rhetoric. You can say, "I'm alpha male, I'm the leader, I'm masculine, I'm a man." You can do all that shit. You can have a masculine job. You can go work in the oil fields. You can work out, be a boxer. You know what I mean? You can only eat fucking raw steak all day long. You can do all that shit. You can say all that shit that makes you masculine. You can do all the things that you attribute to masculinity. But when that little bitch, that little itty bitty bitch who's way smarter than you, comes and pushes that little fucking button, because she's going to know exactly which button to push. When she comes and pushes that fucking button, when you get emotional and you react like a broad because she's not respecting you, that's the first hook she puts in your ass. And women are just built, they're just designed to slowly get to know who you are. Guaranteed, all you guys that do got girls, your girl knows you way better than you know her. She understands you way better than you understand her. That's why they ask the questions that they ask. So they take that time to get to know who you are so they can thumb screw your ass. They can learn about you. This doesn't mean women are malicious. This is a natural biological test. This is how women gauge who their man really is. Because you can talk all that alpha male shit. You can talk all that tough guy shit. But when the time comes down to it and your girl starts testing your masculinity and you fail that test, you are who you are. And she knows who you are because you failed that test. It doesn't matter if you go to the gym 3 times a day. Doesn't matter if you bench 315 pounds. When she shit tests your masculinity on a subliminal level and you fail, that is who you are. So they will test you. That's just an aspect to consider on top of the fact, yeah, of course, if you put together, they're going to treat you like you're put together. If you're smart, they're going to treat you smart. You know, if you're respectable, they're going to treat you respectable, but they're still going to test you just cause. They don't have to have a fucking reason, but they're righteous in doing it. Because if you put yourself up to be this great old man and then she tests you and you fail that test, then you really weren't who you were saying you were. You can't get mad. You can't hate the game. You can't hate the bitch for testing you. Nature has tests for everybody, but that is her taste. That is her testing you. That is her nature testing you. And you are failing or you are passing. It's one or the other. So a bitch is going to test you. So yeah, there is a benefit to, behaving in a way that's worthy of respect, but you also got to be ready for the fact that bitch is going to test you regardless.
And one thing you said there was, Cole, you said it was righteous, and it absolutely is. As you, as you said, fundamentally, a woman has to test you, right? Especially in the climate which we're living in today, where people are talking all this talk, they're saying they're alpha, they're saying they're red pill, they're saying whatever they are, sigma, all that nonsense. She has to test you because she has to make sure that you are the man who she thinks you are, and also who you think you are. She has to make sure that you are remaining that man. The thing is, with a lot of these guys, I take the average guy. He gets a 6, for example, and then he's content with his 6. He's happy that, okay, cool, I got a 6 now. And this is when he starts to get complacent. This is when he starts to lack in his game. This is when he'll, rather than going to gym, he'll spend the extra 20 minutes with her and might not go gym at all. Or when he has to do something that is going to help with his business, for example, but his girl wants him to come watch a movie, so he goes to watch his movie instead. And that's when she slowly starts breaking you down until she leaves, and then the guy will be wondering, damn, why did she leave? I was doing everything that she wanted me to do. I was doing the extra cooking. I was taking the bins out, whatever. And that just boils down to, you gotta give a woman what she needs, not what she wants. She wants the world, but she don't, even if you give her the world, she's gonna want the sun and the moon and all that kind of stuff. You have to give her what she needs in the sense of whether it's the kind of checking her where she's being goofy, whether it's I mean, even if you have to give her a little bit of attention if she's been lacking or she's getting on your nerves or whatever, it's like you have to just know or learn your woman to know how to best give her what she needs in order to make her content, but also to make sure that she knows that you're the man. And Patrice O'Neill, shout out to Patrice O'Neill, the GOAT. He said, women don't want to win, they want a winner. And that fundamentally sums up what the game is. And someone asked me, or one of the questions that was asked was, how can we start implementing the lessons of game in regular life? And everything that we've discussed so far is an example of how it can be implemented into regular life. However, speaking about women or just life in general, everything is a game. Because fundamentally, if there is a winner or there's a loser, it is a game. And life is a game. And if you're talking about with all the testing, in life, there is tests. To get to that next level, you have to go through a test. So let's say you have bad road rage, for example. So you'll be tested. So let's say you're chilling driving one day and then some guy comes and cuts you off. So that's a test. Are you going to get annoyed? Are you going to start swearing and cussing the guy out, or are you just going to be chill or whatever? So if you're chill, that's when you pass to that next test. That's when you get to that next level. But if you keep on staying with the level that you're at, you keep on getting tested, keep on getting tested, keep on getting tested until the point where it just kind of just turns into a shit show, just turns into a mess because you're staying at that same level. And one thing I actually haven't talked about is it's actually our second take of doing this podcast. The first time we went crazy, first time podcast, first time just going at it, going crazy in the game. But you already know my motto, you got to charge this game, keep it pushing. We didn't record, so it is what it is. one of the things that we discussed in that was the fact that in life, there's just sometimes things just happen, or in the sense of not everything's going to really go your way. So you have to just get past that. You have to think past that. You have to keep moving forward throughout everything. There's no middle ground in anything. There's no you're staying the same. You're either getting better, or you're getting worse. If you're not getting better, then you're getting worse. There's no kind of stagnating in life. And that's the problem with a lot of people. They feel like they're stagnating, but you're not stagnating, you're getting worse. Like you have to constantly be on top of your game, you have to be constantly leveling up your game, you have to constantly learning, all that kind of thing, just to make sure that you're staying on top and you're getting to that next level. And as we talked about at the start, there's levels to this game. There's a difference between a person who is playing Sunday League football, and there's a difference between the person who's playing League Two football, and there's a difference between the Ronaldo and the level players. Like you have to just constantly be moving forward. There's never any time to get complacent or ever like be content really. You have to constantly be pushing forward, constantly be pushing for more. That's just the way this game goes. All about elevation.
Yo, you there?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No doubt. No doubt. The elevation thing, man, we could go on about that all day. You know what I mean? There's so many different aspects you could approach that one with too. But I always like to break it down to like having a fire in your belly. You know what I mean? Your fire in your belly, it has to be stronger than the bitch's fire in her belly. You know, if I got a fire in my belly for us to push to the next level, if I got a fire in my belly for, having a Benz and having a backup car and having a business a certain way and having my bitch treat me a certain way, and she's got a fire in her belly about being a boss bitch, but my fire in my belly is stronger than her fire in her belly, then guess what we're going to do? That's a big part of that is just having convictions. Big part of having convictions is having standards, just having shit a certain way. You know what I'm saying? So like for me, for example, I like to have things a certain way in many aspects of my life. You might talk to someone like like an entrepreneur type, like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk type of motherfuckers. Their whole life is just basically that. Their little business, their little entrepreneurial shit. So they wake up at a certain time and they eat real simple meals and they get up and they go straight to work and that's just how they have things. You know what I mean? A lot of these guys have real simple cars. They drive around in like the most simple cars just so they can get to work. None of that shit really matters to them. More power to them. They're not wrong for that. I like to have my shit a certain way in many aspects of my life, all the way down to how a bitch talks to me, how my girl treats me, how she responds when I ask her a question. I have more standards for myself. That doesn't mean you guys got to have the same standards or like necessarily having more separate standards makes you better. What's important is that you have standards. You have a certain way of having done things. A lot of you guys go into relationships dealing with frauds and you don't have standards for how you want her to act. A lot of you guys are just like, I hope she's not fat and I hope she don't have kids, and that's good enough for you. Some of you guys might be like, oh, she can't have a high body count. You guys have your own little standards and that's fine. But do your standards also include how the relationship needs to be? And then you take it further. Some guys will say, well, she can't have a high body count. She can't be fat and she's got to be sweet. And that's it. Then you get the girl. Well, it's like, okay, well, how can she talk to you? What does she have to call you? What are her standards for how she behaves? You got to have that shit thought out all the way. And that's part of being a leader. If you're so-called a leader, you're so-called this alpha male, then you get a girl and then you're not leading her somewhere, you're not a leader. You know what I mean? You got to have this shit thought out before you catch the broad. You don't get the girl and then say, oh, she used to play soccer in high school, so I guess we'll practice soccer on Saturdays. No, man, you got to already have the shit. You got to have the life cut out. And then you get the girl and then she falls in. You got to have the life planned out. And even for you guys that are beginners in the game and you don't have your own house yet and so on and so forth, you still got to have plans. You got to have plans based on what you got right now. You got to have the thought now. You got to have the life cut out now. Then when she meets you, you already have the life thought out. It's like when a salesman calls you and they're trying to sell you a fucking car. Everything about that conversation is trying to sell that car. The whole thing, everything about it is trying to push you towards that car. Well, you got to have that car. You got to have that salesmanship. You got to have that idea of what you were trying to do. Then when you meet this girl, everything you do is towards that. So you're leading her. If you don't have a goal, you can't lead her. It's that simple. That's why it's important to have goals. That's why it's important to have principles. And that's why it's so important to have standards on how you like to have things. I got standards for all the way down, even down to like what my girl calls me, what her nickname for me is and all that stuff. I have standards all the way up to that. My girl can't say, if I say, hey, she can't say what. You know, she has to say yes. If she says what, I'll say, don't say what. And she'll say, okay, I'm sorry, yes. You know what I mean? I have standards all the way down to that. Do you have to have it like that? No. But do you have to have standards? Yes. You got to have shit a certain way. A girl's got to feel like she has to fall into something. A girl wants to be a part of something. You know, that doesn't mean you have to be a millionaire. Doesn't mean you got to have $1 billion business. You don't have to have 5 cars, but you have to have something. It's a psychological thing. And you as a man should have that regardless. You're not doing this to have the girl and to keep her in line. You're doing this because this is the man that you are. And women are attracted to that kind of man. If you do this because of the girl, because now that you know doing this is what's going to lead the girl and fall her into place, eventually something's going to come up that takes that away from you. It's not true to your actual nature, and you will falter away from that. You have to internalize it to where you're doing it because it's what you believe in. Very important that you do things because it's what you believe in versus you do them because you know it's going to get you a girl.
And that just sums up what a man is in essential, like in a nutshell. You have to have principles that you want to die by. You have to have things that are set in stone that you will abide by until the day you die, until the day that you're 6 feet under. You're going to abide by those rules, and this isn't like an optional thing for a man. You have to have these, otherwise, not only will men not respect you, but women won't respect you. Because, for example, if you don't have a principle of if she's doing X, Y, Z, and I'm going to leave, then she can't respect you because you don't respect yourself to set those kind of boundaries, to set that standard for yourself to where you don't tolerate anything less than the standard that you've set. That's just what you have to do in life. You have to have a certain thing that you won't fold on so that you can actually build a foundation from that. Like there's no way you can be a man who's just out here wandering around the world aimlessly and not have some kind of principles to where you're literally willing, not even literally, like you are willing to die by, as in you will literally take them to the grave with you. If it means that you have to be killed, I mean, that sounds deep or morbid or whatever. But if it means that you have to literally die by them, that's just something that you have to do. But at least you will die knowing that you died a man. You still had your balls intact. You still had that integrity. You still had your manhood. And that's one of them things where once that's taken away from you, it's game over. Once that's taken away from you, it's just a slippery slope from there. A slippery slope.
No, man, you're absolutely right. It doesn't really matter if it sounds morbid or not. At the end of the day, you have your set of principles. And, you know, whatever you believe, whether you believe it's the devil, whether you believe it's the universe, however you choose to perceive it, the universe, the world, nature, whatever you want to call it, you have your set of principles. And the universe will send whatever it would take to break those principles to you. You know, if you say to yourself, I'm this man, the universe is going to send exactly the scenario that it takes to break you. If you know, if you say like, I'll never lie, I'll never betray my family, you know, family is first to me, blah, 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 blah. The devil knows exactly what you want. And to be honest, you know, say you like Colombian bitches with fat asses, but they have Asian girl eyes and long hair, you know, long blonde hair. Say like that's what you like. That's what the universe is going to send to test you, to try to pull you away from your principles. You know, if you ain't scared to fight nobody, but you're scared to go to jail, guess what? Guess what the universe is going to send to you to make you break your principles? It's going to send jail. You know, it's going to send something like that. Whatever it is that's your weakness, that's what the devil is going to send to make you falter away from your principles, to make you falter away from your beliefs, to make you falter away from who you said you were. The devil is going to send out one thing that could have got your ass. Very important for you guys to realize that. You have to be willing to die. Your manhood, your essential principles, who you are at your core, has to be more important to you than your life itself. And for those of you guys that are having trouble stomaching this right now, what is your life worth if you don't have those principles?
For real.
You want to be a coward? Is it really a life? Do you think the men that died standing up for what they believed in, the Christian martyrs, do you think if they had a second chance, they would have done it differently? Hell no, they wouldn't have done it differently. They did it exactly how they meant to do it. They believed in something and they were willing to die for it. Take the Christian martyrs are a perfect example for that. Those guys who were in the mafia and they said to themselves, I'll never snitch no matter what. And then they get life in prison. Those motherfuckers don't regret it. They knew what they signed up for when they fucking went. And they stuck to what they said they believed in. Is it glorious? No. Is it glamorous? No. Are we here to be glorious and glamorous? No. You have to have your set principles and integrity, the shit you believe in as a man. You need to be willing to die before you deceive a woman just so you can have her womb. If her womb is bigger than your principles, if you're willing to lie to a girl to have sex with her, that means that little inch and a half hole between her legs is bigger than who you are as a man. You deserve to
Whoa.
be disrespected. You deserve to be disrespected if that little hole between her legs is big enough to get you to act like a broad, to get you to lie, to get you to cheat, to get you to steal, to get you to behave femininely, to get you to betray your family just to have that woman. Whatever you let break you from your principles is bigger than you as a man. It might be a woman's womb. It might be a little bit of money for those guys that sacrifice their integrity for some type of bribe. That means that $5,000, that $10,000 was worth more than your integrity as a man. You have to have principles. You have to figure out who you are and what principles are best for your lifestyle because we're not all going to agree on things. But you know who you are. You need to take the time to really get to know who you are and what you want. Then you need to learn your principles, what you believe in, and then you need to think about how far you're willing to take that. Because having the man intact is more important than anything else. And when you've mastered that, women are drawn to you. There's not a woman in this world who can pull me away from my principles. There's not a woman in this world who can pull me away from my integrity. And they don't see that right away. But when they see that, they know you're bigger than them because women don't have that strength internally. Women don't have that ability to have the weight of the world against their shoulders and to not only bear the weight, but to bear it with the fucking attitude. To bear that shit like a man. When the whole world is falling down around you, when you have your principles bulletproof like that, your wife can be leaving, your kids can be getting taken away. You could have just lost your job. Your car could have just crashed. And you could be at the fucking bus stop. You can walk right up to the next shorty you see and you can say, what's up, baby? Oh, what makes you think I should give you my number? Well, first of all, I'm a fucking man, baby. She ain't gonna think, well, he's here at the bus stop with me. What makes him so great? Nah, man. When you have that conviction in what you say, she's gonna believe you. And you can only have that conviction in what you say when you believe it. And the only way you're really going to believe it is if you know it's true. It's that easy. Is it easy? No, fuck no, it's not easy. But once you're there, it's easy as hell.
And to all you boys listening right now, I don't know how long that little spiel was, but rewind to that and restart it. Because a lot of you genuinely need to listen to that. You
Live it.
lie, you need to live it. You lie to get a woman. Like, you know how that's like, it's deeper than being embarrassing. That's just like sad. Like you're lying to get some coochie. Like, like you're willing to put your principles to the side to have 10 minutes of empty sex. That's like, why do you think in the whole of Hollywood and all that kind of thing, when they get you to sell your soul, what is the reason behind that? Because you're rewarded with these earthly possessions in the sense of you might get money, you might get fame, you might get recognition, whatever, but you don't have your soul. And that's all you have. It's like of a man. You don't have your principles. That's all you have. Your principles are everything. Your principles are who you are. And in the Bible it says, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world but to lose his soul? Like,
So
you can't, there's just certain things that you have to do as a man if you actually want to be considered a man, if you actually want to be treated as a man, if you actually want your woman to look at you as a man, if you want your parents to look at you like, damn, he's a man, like I raised a man. There's certain things you just have to do regardless of whether you want to do it or not. You were born into this world a man, and there's some things that are just a prerequisite. I mean, actually, no, let me not say that. You don't have to do it, but then you just don't expect to be treated a certain way. If you can, by all means, go live, by all means, go break your principles, don't be a man of your word, but don't complain when you get treated like a sucker. Like, as we said, like at some point in this podcast, you, you are who you are. And if you're wanting to go down that route, by all means, but just don't complain when some things don't go your way. That's just the way life goes. What goes around comes around. But just to end off this first podcast, it's been a good one. The second one, really, because we lost the first one, but we chilling. So let's go through some quick fire questions just to round up. So first things first. So with this podcast, why it's going to be so sick is one, not only do we have two varying perspectives in sense of I'm from England, Tony's from America, Tony's in his 30s, I'm in my 20s. So it's like we have two vastly different worldviews and experiences in terms of just everything, really. So one of these questions is, I thought was a good one, was what to focus on in your 20s.
you want to take this one first? Do you want me to pick it right up?
I'll go for it. So what I always tell people is to master a skill. Because so from the way I look at it is that in your 20s, these are it's not the prime of your life, but it's a time when you'll have the most energy. You're essentially like Wolverine. You literally have unlimited energy in the sense of you can go on 5 hours sleep for 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, whatever, and you'll be fine. And I know you can do this because this is what I'm doing right now. But you can be getting PR after PR every week in the gym. You can be mastering the skill, and you can be again getting that experience in that skill to where you become a master. Because to become a master at anything, you need to get 10,000 hours. So you need to decide as a man, what are you going to get that 10,000 hours in? And that's if you want to, I mean, as I said earlier, you don't have to do any of this. You can be average if you want to. If you're going to be average, you should have been got off this podcast. I can't even lie. But if so what I tell everyone who's in their 20s, master a skill. And one thing that Tony taught me, one of the first things he taught me was everything boils down to value. So if you have a skill which is valued, then as a prerequisite, you will be paid money. So don't focus on the money itself. Obviously, you need to get an income of some sort. You need to be building something to where you're making money so you can actually live and not be a broke boy. But you need to be having something on the side, whether it's a side hustle, whether it's a kind of endeavor which you can just be focused on and use that as the kind of propeller for your life. So one thing that I would always, or a few things I recommend for men to learn is firstly sales, because in sales it encompasses so many different things, whether it's the ability to talk, the ability to persuade, the ability to negotiate, the ability to overcome objections, all that kind of thing. And that's all in one skill. And if you can master that skill, then that comes with the money, that comes with I mean, virtually everything because you can go anywhere, and it's one of them things which is recession proof as well. You can go any if you're good at sales, you can go anywhere and you can make money because it's fundamentally the same thing. You might have to understand different nuances within an industry, but fundamentally it's the same. So master a skill and leverage that to your example, not to your example, to your advantage, and additionally just go crazy in the gym. Like there is no reason why you as a grown man in your 20s should not be going into the gym at least 4 times a week. Like there's genuinely no reason. And you have to be able to defend yourself as well. So I would highly recommend all of you to either join a fight gym or just learn how to just fight generally. Because you need to know how to not only defend yourself, but defend your family, right? Your aim for this world or your reason for being in this world is to reproduce. And if you're a little dweeb who's skinny and anyone can touch or anyone could take their wallet, you're just embarrassing yourself and you're embarrassing God, really. Like he didn't put you in this world just be a bum, not knowing how to fight. It's not the case if you have to like you have to knock someone out or whatever. We just need to know the basic principles of self defense and just know okay, if anything happens, I at least know I can defend myself, I can defend my loved ones. So that's the main kind of things. Develop a skill, choose a skill which you're going to master, which you're going to be known for. Your name needs to be known for something. Your family's name needs to be etched in the history books in some way, shape, or form. That's on you to do. So find the skill to master. As I said, whether it's sales, whether it's marketing, you want to get good at communication as well, whether it's just speaking to people, whether it's even like texting or social media kind of stuff. Because with the way social media is right now, all it takes is one piece of content, all it takes is one video to make a crazy amount of money, to go viral, to give you that like stepping stone to a better life. So leverage those kind of things to your advantage as well. So just the main things of mastering a skill, going gym, and learning how to fight. And as long as you do them on a regular basis, as long as you mold your kind of purpose around that. So as we said at some point in this podcast, talking about finding your natural gifts, molding that, and then I mean the rest will be history, man.
All right, man. I mean, I agree with all the things you were saying. They need to go out, they need to work out, they need to go out and fight. All those things, like I agree with that. Eat healthy now, don't take it for granted that you're 20, so you're going to feel like this forever. Right now, for you guys in your 20s, you have more energy than you will ever have in your life. And the truth is, what they don't tell you is you guys think that, you're going to feel the way you feel right now forever. The truth is, most people at about 33 or 34 start to get real tired all the time. That feeling of youth and energy and, being young, that doesn't last long at all. That shit goes away at about 33, 34. I see people my age, they're tired all the time. Their souls are gone. They don't have that vigor for life. They don't have that hunger anymore. You guys got to take care of that shit now. So my advice to you guys is, at this age, your number one priority should be finding out who you are. Obviously you guys think you know who you are. Oh, my name is such and such. I like these things. But no, man, like you got to know who you are. You got to know what your weaknesses are. You got to know what fucked you up as a kid. You have to know what your fears are. You have to know what you really want. A lot of you guys think you want a wife, man. There's a lot of you guys that think you just want a wife and kids. And if you were to actually just sit down and visualize that life, going to work every day, coming home to the same woman, like you guys need to start visualizing the life that you think you want. Because if you were to carry it all the way through, I guarantee you there's many of you who have a certain life planned out for yourself to where all it would take was for you to sit down for 30 minutes and close your eyes and imagine that life and imagine living it and then thinking about what it would take to have that life. You guys would decide that you probably didn't really want that life. A lot of you guys are just kind of being led by a life that you were told you want. You saw some Instagram page that you kind of look up to, and he said that you're supposed to want certain things a certain way, and you just kind of accepted that. You never really got to know who you were. The individual is played down in our society right now. It's red pill, it's Republican, it's Democrat, it's right wing, it's Jim bro. Like everyone is just grouped up. You're categorized, you're classified into a wide spectrum of things. That's just simply not the case. You are an individual. And you will really never know sublime joy in life unless you get to know who you are. And the sad part about getting to know who you are is, you guys, it's more than just sitting down and thinking about what you want and visualizing the life that you would actually be happy with. I'll tell you guys right now, you need to go backwards. You guys need to imagine the life that you want ideally, and then you work your way backwards. Well, I want a mansion. I want a mansion on a lake. Well, then let's think about how much a mansion on a lake costs. That might be $5 million. So now you need to make at least such and such amount of money. So how can I make that money? Well, this job, this field. Okay, so if I'm going to make it in this field, how many hours do I got to work? You know what I mean? Well, that means I can only have such and such amount of kids. You guys got to start backwards. You guys got to start at the end goal and then work your way back. But more importantly than that, a lot of you guys need to have two jobs, man. You really don't know who you are until the hard shit. That's when you find out who you are, when you start pushing yourself. Everybody's great. Everybody's great when it's easy to be great. Go out and put in Arnold workouts. Go out and work out like Arnold if you're going to be a gym bro. If you want to be an entrepreneur, go out and put 15 hours into that shit. You guys need to have two jobs. If you don't know what you want yet, if you don't know if you want to be a bodybuilder or an entrepreneur, if you don't know what you want yet, you need to be working two jobs. You guys need to be doubling your income. If One income isn't enough to do what you need. You need two. And a lot of you guys need to be doing that. You need to be pushing two incomes and you need to be reading about some subject that you're really passionate about. You need to figure out what you're passionate about. You need to figure out how to make it into a business. That's hard. Yes. What's your excuse though? Yeah, it's fucking hard. You want to be easy? You want to give easy work? You're going to get easy results. And when you're 80 years old and you're on your deathbed and you're too tired to go out and do it anymore and you're crying, the tears are burning in the back of your eyes because you regret not giving it the full go and now you're too tired to do it. And your best days are behind you and you didn't reach your full potential and you basically just wasted this beautiful gift that you were given. Did anybody who lived and died before you would have done anything to have a chance at again? You wasted it. That regret is going to burn. You're gonna die a miserable old man because you didn't put that effort forth to really live the life that you knew was meant for you. And all you had to do was just stop for a minute and think, who am I? What do I really want? Am I willing to work for this? When you guys start to do that work and you start to work two jobs, you start to save up that money and you make your first 10 grand in the bank and you're looking at that 10 grand. Once you have that 10 grand saved, all those little things you think you want, little spoiler on your car, or the muffler that makes it loud, or dumbass little gold chain, when you guys start saving up money, you start to look at those things like you're crazy. Like, what was I thinking wanting those things? Once you actually have the money, all the little things that you thought you wanted to buy, they don't mean nothing. When you start to hit the gym and you're in the gym for 4 hours a day, you might realize, like, damn, you know what? I just don't genuinely enjoy this. Being a pro bodybuilder just ain't for me. For those of you guys that wanna be an entrepreneur, start putting 12 hours down and shit. Some of you guys are gonna take to it and you're just gonna see the dream so strongly you're gonna pursue it. And some of you guys are gonna be like, damn, I just can't do this. This isn't for me. I'm not passionate about it. You're not gonna know what you're passionate about. You're not gonna learn yourself until you go out and you do the work. That's what it takes. You got to go out and you got to do the work. And you're going to find out what works for you and what don't work for you. We're all born looking like our parents, but we die looking like our decisions. There's not a right
Mm.
path and a wrong path. There's some objectively wrong things, obviously. Cheating on your wife, not taking care of your kids, there's some objectively wrong things out there, but life is not cut out a certain way. You guys can't just look at these pages, these red pill pages and shit and say, you're supposed to just want this, you're supposed to just want that. You guys got to get to know who you really are. Don't let someone else tell you who you are because we're all different. We all want different things. Not all of us is going to have kids. Not all of us is going to get married. Not all of us are going to be players. Not all of us are going to be rich. But for the ones that sit down and they genuinely want that, and then they evaluate the amount of work it's going to take to have that life, you're going to find something that's your life's work. Find out who you are, find out what your life's work is, and that's how you live a valuable life that you're going to enjoy. And then be good at it, and be a man while you're doing it.
Yeah, man, first. That's the one. And one of the things that you said, talking about finding out about who you are in terms of pushing yourself or doing hard stuff in the gym. One thing I can say about that is a couple of years ago, I was doing a boxing camp for a fight. And I've played football my whole life, and this boxing camp, the kind of levels of exhaustion I was getting to, like genuinely, when you like have nothing left, that's when you learn a lot about yourself. That's when
Yeah.
like if you're in a plank or if you're doing whatever kind of exercise, like if you're punching a bag, that's when you actually find out who you are. Like when you're getting down to that like bare bones, like that raw kind of I don't know how to describe it. It's a crazy feeling of when you just feel like you have nothing left, and that's when you just have to really. It's like you and your mind. That's all you have in that moment, you and your mind. And from there, that's when you just find out, like, damn, am I who I think I am, or am I a fraud, basically? And that will give you that realization. It'll give you like it'll either be a confirmation or be a reality check, and that's when you have to, you yourself, you have to like, damn, I either have to push myself harder or okay, we're getting to the type of man who I want to become. We're getting to that level. So what you said there, that was cold. So let's end it with this question. Let me find a good one. Um okay, so you said, can you ever open up to your woman? Can you ever share your feelings?
That's not what they're there for, man. It's that simple. Your bra's going to do everything she can to get you to cry in front of her. She's going to do everything she can. Basically, it's a woman's job to test you. Just like going back to that thing we were talking about earlier, how they're going to test you for no reason. They're going to test you too. They're going to say, we've all seen it before. You know, you get a girl and then she says something like, babe, let me practice my makeup on you. Babe, go get your nails done with me. Babe, tell me what's wrong, babe. You know, they want to make you gay. I don't know why they do it, but they want to make you fucking gay. This is what they do. You know, they try to break you down and make you fucking gay. You know, and you're not gay. So I don't know why they do it, but they do everything they can to try to get you to do something gay as hell. And then as soon as you do it, they lose all respect for you. It's the strangest thing. Like girls go on all day long about men's feelings and how men need to open up and oh men kill themselves because you know they can't open up about their feelings and talk about them. Bro, as soon as you cry in front of her, she's losing all respect for you. Your boys are for that. You know, your mentors for that. Your friends are for that. Your girl is not your emotional support group. Your girl's genetically wired. She's genetically wired knowing that she's weak and knowing that she needs a stronger vessel to take care of her. As soon as you cry in front of her, you are no longer the warrior. You're no longer Conan the Barbarian when she sees you crying because your boss was a little bit spicy with you today. You can't do that. That's what your boys are there for. That's what your friends are there for. That's what your dad's there for. That's what your mentor's there for. That's what your therapist is there for. Go to therapy. There ain't no shame in going to therapy, you guys. Go to therapy if you gotta go to therapy. Go see somebody professionally. But don't confide in your woman. And on top of that, while we're on the subject, don't just not cry in front of her. Never express any doubts in front of her at all. You know, you cannot confide in your woman. You cannot open up and trust your woman with that. And they'll get mad as fuck if they hear you say that shit. Because they insist upon you opening up to them. And then the second you do, you're fucking gay to them. You're corny. You cannot do that. They push as hard as they can to get you to do that so they cannot respect you. It's a test. You know, they're biologically wired to want to test you. You know, it don't mean they're bad. It don't mean they have bad intentions. They're not malicious, but you just got to acknowledge they do everything they can to try to push you to do that. And then they don't want you when you do. Do not cry in front of your girl. Do not open up about your doubts. Do not open up about your insecurities, your sensitivities. Don't do it. She is not there for you to confide in. Anyone that says she is there, don't listen to them. Don't listen to anything they say once they say that. You do not confide in your girl, period. Not in that. You know, little doubts. You know, you got a son with her. Hey, I'm starting to think, you know, little Timmy might be a little bit autistic. We might want to go get him tested. Yeah, that's. I'm talking about. I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it, babe. You know, like it's so hard at work. You don't ever share that shit with her. You keep that shit to yourself. You keep that shit to yourself, and if you gotta get it out, you tell it to someone else, but you don't tell it to your girl. She's biologically wired to depend on you, dude. You have to remember that. She is the weaker vessel, and she knows it. So when you give her doubts into your ability to push forward, she starts to look at other options. It's that simple. They're not bad. It's not that they don't love you. It's not that they can't push through with you and fight through with you. A woman will ride through anything with you as long as you're riding. When you stop riding, she leaves. You know, you got to have a challenge. You know, when she sees you up to the challenge and fighting, she'll stay by your side. When you start looking like you're scared to fight that fight, when you start looking like the world is too much for you and you're thinking about quitting and things are getting too overwhelming, it's a turnoff to her, dude. And honestly, she's not unjustified thinking that way. You got to be a man about everything. You got to take it to the fucking chin.
For real. It's biological. At the end of the day, what does a woman look for in a man on biological terms? She wants a man who can protect for her and a man who can provide. How can you protect and provide if you're crying and revealing vulnerability in front of her? And it sounds kind of cold and people think, oh, do you really have to take it that far? Yes. Yeah, yes, you
Yeah,
do. Like there's just
yeah,
certain
you
things
do.
that you have
Mm-hmm.
to do in this game. And it's literally, so someone in my Discord this night, like a couple hours ago, I said, what about telling your girl, but you had a hard day? Is it weak or needed to connect better with her? And I replied, what is there to gain from revealing this to your girl? Unless you frame it in the way that makes you look like a superhero, don't say anything. Like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Unless you like telling
Yeah.
her, okay, I went through XYZ hurdle, but I came out on top. I did XYZ now. Okay, cool. But if you're gonna say some slicker shit just for the sake of wanting to open up, it's
Mhm.
a matter of it's a matter of when she leaves, not if, when.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh-huh.
correct.
It's true. Oh, the boss was real hard on me today, babe. Oh, it hurt my feelings when he said she's gonna want to fuck the boss.
The game's cold. The game's cold. This has been a great first episode. We're gonna leave it here. So, Tony, have you anything you'd like to plug?
You know what? I do have a book out. If you guys go to Gaslight Academy, just like how it sounds, just like it's spelled, gaslightacademy.gumroad.com. I got a book on there for $20. It's worth every dollar of it. You guys go ahead and pick that up if you're interested in learning more about what I got to say. Other than that, bro, I look forward to doing a lot more of these with you.
Yes, so we're just getting started. As I said, we did record one the other day, but I forgot to press record. So this will be the first one, which will be coming to your screen. So this is just the start. We're gonna go crazy with this stuff. So yeah, in terms of me, you already know me. Yak. All my socials are the same. Young Alpha Kings underscore on Instagram. Young Alpha Kings on Twitter. Young Alpha Kings on TikTok. All that good stuff. And if you want any of my books to break the game down on a deeper level or female nature as well, go to my Gumroad and you'll see them there. And I'll link Tony's stuff as well. Yeah, it's been a good episode and we'll see you boys next time.
All right, y'all.
Cool. So what I'll do is I'll end the call and I'll call you on normal phone.
All right.
Uh,
All right. Peace.